Few Goldilock Bears podcast with Vincent Cloud.
I'm Matt Hagan.
I'm John Nemitz.
And previously on A Few Bears, Matt, you were like, hey, before we leave, I heard that Roger Waters had some anti-Semitic remarks. And I was like, oh, really? And looking back, I'm like, that makes sense because his album, The Wall, and where he's like, okay, this album's about this egotistical bastard of a rock star. You know, he's just writing about himself, right? But like eventually towards the end of the album, he's like, oh, I'm on drugs. And now I don't think I'm at a concert. I believe I'm a fascist dictator giving a speech at a Nazi-like rally. Now it makes sense. That's fucking nuts.
Well, as a kid seeing video of The Wall, that's like a movie, like a concert movie or something, right? Like I've seen footage of that. That's the exact impression I got is a Nazi rally.
Yeah. But
I mean, there's definitely like themes of Nazi times in The Wall as a whole, for sure. I mean, just through, like the themes of the music and stuff as well, beyond the video too.
Yeah,
I haven't listened to Pink Floyd enough. I really should. When I get to the P's in my in my band listening, I will get to it.
Where are you at right now, Matt?
Well, it's funny. I realized I have some B's I still have to do, so I'm still in the B's. It's gonna take a while. It's not like I'm listening to every band ever, but
if you were in kindergarten, you could make a mistake and go A, B, P, and then you would be right there. So yeah, just travel back, regain that youthful innocence.
I don't see an advantage to this, but okay.
I don't know. I can't think of anything in C through O worth sticking around for.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, John talked me into it. Vincent.
Okay. Well,
I'm coming out hot, Vince.
Well, if you are coming out hot, I want you to start this. You have yet to start a podcast.
No, I don't want to. Okay, I'll start. So I part of me really wanted to do just a whole Christmas episode. I really wanted to delve into Christmas, not just loves, but hates and indifferences, things I don't understand. But I'm going to kind of spread it out. I think I'm going to do a hate today. I'm going to do decorating for Christmas. Now, I don't have a big, long spiel about this. I don't understand it. I hate it. I hate having to do it. I've been called a Grinch every single year, multiple times by my wife. I don't want to go outside and get up on a ladder and put lights up. And so far, I've never had to do that because I always resist. But I do have to spend some time outside putting some stuff up just because my wife implores me to do it. And I don't understand it from the inside to the outside. If Christmas time, if that's what makes Christians happy for a month, I guess I'm all for it. That's fine. But I just don't understand the point. And there's so much electricity wasted on top of that. So I don't know how you guys feel.
So this sounds like a dad like complaint. I'm sorry, John. This sounds like this is stemming from you like having like, God damn it, the kids want it. Because if I was single, if you were single Matt Hagan, you'd be like, fuck the lights, fuck the trees, fuck the stockings, You wouldn't do any of that?
There's a lot of truth to that for sure. I think it mostly stems from I'm just lazy and I don't want to do it. But if I was single, I wouldn't be celebrating Christmas. No, I mean,
when you got married before you had kids, did you guys decorate?
Yes.
Okay.
Not as extensively as we do now, of course, but yes, some decorations were put up. I think you're delving into my past. Any more questions?
Does your father's religion play into it?
No, my father's religion does not. Oh, you brought that up.
Do they celebrate Christmas?
No, my father is a Jehovah's Witness. No, they do not celebrate Christmas. It does not play a part. I no part at all. But yeah, I mean, my dad is you know, he doesn't go for that sort of stuff either. He's not a even before he became a Jehovah's Witness. I mean, you could call him a Grinch too, you know. So maybe it's the genes. I don't know. I don't know. Anybody
So-
else? Anybody else despise decorating or love decorating or?
Well,
For me, it's an indifferent because like we just don't do it. So
At all? Nothing?
no, we have a single string of LED lights, which we have not bothered to plug in the last 2 or 3 years.
but it still hangs there. You just never plug it in.
Oh yeah, obviously it's hung immaculately.
That's great. I have been single now for a while now, and I don't give a fuck. Like I don't celebrate anything anymore. I am just waiting for it all to end. You know what I'm saying? But no, you know what? When you brought up decorations, I wanted to bring this one thing up, and I'm curious if anyone else does this. When I was a kid, you know, after the tree is put up and there's lights and shit, I would lie under it like I was fixing the oil or something like that and look up. That's
Just
all.
for no reason, you were just staring at all the lights or what?
From underneath. Yeah. I don't know.
Under the tree, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, like ours were too full of presents.
Oh boy. Dang. No,
you got me.
never had that experience. No.
Well,
I mean, so you were just staring or were you trying to follow the cord to see where all the lights were or what? You're just killing time?
yeah, choose any of those reasons. I don't know. I always felt it was a weird thing to do, but I'm like, I wonder if other kids did that. Yeah, that's all. That's all I had to add.
I'm sure I have plenty of stuff like that. Not that specifically. I would have to think. Kind of caught me off guard, but there's plenty of dumb stuff to kill time that I did as a kid. Yeah.
When it comes to decorations, though, is what I'm getting at.
No, I never stared at decorations.
Okay. But also, though, Jehovah's Witness, Matt's never too late. Because you just said that he eventually, like you were there when he converted. You were like, God damn it, I've headed up to here with Christianity.
Oh boy. Well, no, that's not how it went down exactly.
That's good.
Oh, I don't want to talk about this. This is bad. No, just in case my dad doesn't know what okay, let's talk. No, so it wasn't really like that. I mean, my dad just, you know, found religion. Like we weren't religious growing up at all. And my dad just found religion and it kind of, you know, drove a wedge between him and my mom. And that's what ultimately caused them to get divorced when I was in middle school. So, yeah, it kind of made me look at religion sideways. You know, again, I wasn't religious growing up, so I really looked at religion sideways after that. But no, I don't think it has anything to do with disliking or liking Christmas or anything like that.
John, you grew up religious, didn't you? Or
Yes, very much so.
well,
Um,
are you still now?
I mean, no, not at all anymore. And I don't know. For me, it probably does have something to do with it because, like, I don't like, you know, growing up, it was very much stressed in my household that, you know, the reason for Christmas and everything is to celebrate Jesus and all that. So then, after not really being religious anymore, then I never really picked up the secular reasons for enjoying Christmas, I guess.
We could turn this into the entire Christmas episode, and I kind of want to. I like we're kind of delving into our childhoods and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, my love is quasi Christmas related.
Go for it. Jump in.
Well, it's like it's an Advent thing, which, you know, Advent is the basically Christians waiting for Christmas Day and counting it down. I'm drinking a beer right now from an advent calendar of beers that I got from Costco, which is pretty good.
I didn't know they offered that.
Yeah, I didn't either. It was an impulse buy that I do not regret.
Ooh, dang. I regret not getting it.
Yeah. The topic I had was specifically Advent of Code, which is about the nerdiest thing I could come up with for Advent related. But basically, every day leading up to Christmas, there's like a new like logic problem, basically, and they give you like a puzzle you have to solve, and you have to basically parse like a text file that has hundreds or thousands of lines of data input, and then you do whatever the instructions to tell you to the data to get the answer. But like, what I like about it is they're not saying you have to do it a specific way. So, if you're some of them, like you can do in like in an Excel spreadsheet, or some of them like you can do in whatever programming language you like, and they don't really care how you get the answer. Like if you want to sit there and figure it out with paper and pencil, you can. Some of them would maybe not scale up to being able to do that, but if you're able to do that, it doesn't matter. You just got to get the answer. That's cool. I first learned about it 3 years ago, and I've been doing it every year. A bunch of people at my work are into it, and we have like a Slack channel for it, and everybody's using whatever programming language they like, and we kind of compare how did you go about solving it and that kind of stuff.
I read that it's only been around like 8 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. I tried to do research, and I thought maybe I could get into it, although that's not my wheelhouse at all. And I really couldn't. Code, the Matrix, it's not even that cool. But yeah, I tried though, John. Just know that.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Well, you bunch of nerds. You nerds in your group with your comparing how you got, pushing up your glasses and figuring out how you got it. But, so I understand that there's like a global leaderboard and stuff like that too. So when it comes to these contests, does everybody arrive at the same answer, and that's how like who gets there first and second and so on and so forth? It's always the same answer?
No, so it's not always the same answer. So basically, I told you there's like this input text file. So that's going to be different for every different person. So if you apply the correct logic, and I apply it against my text file, I'll get one answer. But if you take my answer and put it in, it won't be the correct answer for you. So then I would need to have your input and run it against that, or vice versa. So timing wise, basically the new problems come online at midnight Eastern time every night. And it's basically like who can solve it the quickest from that point in time. So like in my opinion, you really have an advantage if you're in like California and it's only 9 p.m. because you're like not like ready to go to bed yet or whatever. You do the problem and you work on it. For me, I don't really care about the leaderboard at all. I just work on them in the morning when I wake up or whatever. So I'm not trying to get like a top spot or anything. Because like last year, I think over 200,000 people did the first day, and by the end it was like 11,000 people who actually did all 25 days. So I just feel like if I'm one of the people who stick around to do all the problems, I'm not that excited about doing it at midnight or whatever.
So it's mostly just working your brain, right? And you find it enjoyable. It's like people do Sudoku or crossword puzzles, but you like to do this sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like like you ever watch Twitch or whatever, like streaming and stuff. It's
No.
like live streaming. Most people use it to stream video games, but people actually like do programming online live, and so people will actually be streaming when they're doing admin of code, and you can talk about the processes and stuff and all that kind of stuff.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean, I refer to you and your work people as nerds, but I am also a programmer.
What?
But but no, I've never delved into this opportunity to sharpen my skills, but I am somewhat intrigued. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, John, so you're not worried about placing. Are there people that constantly place? Is there a Joey Chestnut of programming out there? Is there a Brett Favre of programming?
Oh, that's a good question. Definitely within my company, I know who are going to be like the top 2 people on our private leaderboard. I haven't paid enough attention to like the global stats to see if there is somebody who's like consistently getting the top spots.
Just for the record, you do not want to be the Brett Favre of this. That's kind of a touchy subject these days, but I understand. I understand the idea.
Nor the Aaron Rodgers, really. I mean, I don't know, in my opinion. Can we get into
Smart Star still okay?
Physically, no, but his legend is doing just fine. I wanted to get into my hate, and I also wanted it to somehow mesh with Christmas, but I don't know how. I don't like shaking hands. Does that relate to the holidays?
I mean, if you go to like Catholic church and you always have to shake everyone's hand after the Lord's Prayer or whatever.
Oh, really? Like the end of a baseball game?
Pretty much. I don't know if they still do it. I haven't been to one since COVID, but yeah, that was one thing. Like, so in the Lutheran church that I grew up with, we did not do that. But when I started going to Catholic church with my wife when we were first married, that was definitely a thing they did. And like, we both hated it at the time already. So I don't know if they're still doing it now or not even, but.
I don't remember it being that big of a deal. I think you just kind of turn to the person next to you and shake their hand, and then you turn to the person on your other side and shake their hand. And I think that's kind of the end of it. At least that's
exactly. Experience. It was the worst.
Oh, come on. It's not that.
Well, hey, I do not like shaking hands. I've never gotten into it. There's so many things that I have a problem with. One, I'm not a touchy-feely guy. I'll do it. I'm not like, I don't want to touch. I'm like, but it's germs. Even before COVID, I know plenty of dudes who never fucking wash their hands, right? We've been to men's restrooms, maybe to score, maybe to whatever, but we know that guys don't wash their hands typically, right? So it's that. And it's just like, personally, I find my hands pretty clammy, so I don't want to put anyone through that. But even without all that, there's like stupid fucking alpha male assholes who are like, I'm meeting you for the first time, so I'm going to fucking grip your hand as hard as I fucking can, And personally, it's fine, but over the years, I've broken this little pinky bone here twice now. And the second time, I don't think it fully repaired properly. So when assholes show up and they're like, I'm gonna pull a Trump, white knuckle it, if it kind of hurts, it kind of aches. So that
must really bother you as a Sigma male.
Oh, I don't get that. I just know it's lower than alpha.
Oh, so so it's like a thing that like basically it's like nerdy internet incel type people are like, oh yeah, I'm not even in the alpha beta conversation. I'm a Sigma male, which means I'm a loner, but like I'm I can attract people if I want to, but I don't even have to try. Like it's just this weird thing. Sorry, I thought we'd get the reference and I'd move on.
No, I'm glad that I know that, because I will say, yeah, count me in. The other thing is, like, even when they want to make it fun, you know, the complex handshakes and shit, it's like dancing again. Like, okay, you got to learn this move, and how am I supposed to know? And even when fist bumps came along, I'm like, all right, I guess that was the closest. But when COVID hit, I was like, hallelujah, because people were like touching elbows, and I'm like, all right, that's something. But really, if I had to choose, if it was my way, we would just bow. What's the matter with bowing? I like bowing.
That would be nice. I've definitely grabbed somebody's fist with my open palm because I just wasn't expecting the fist bump. But then my coworker taught me this move where you just go turkey, and then that saves the situation.
I like it.
Do you actually have to say turkey?
Of course, yes.
Okay, just so the other person knows what you're doing. Okay.
Yeah.
I've never heard of turkey before, so
you may have made it up, but it's pretty useful.
Makes it goofy and such. Yeah, I mean, I thought you were going the direction of the whole I don't know how hard to shake thing, and that's always kind of awkward. And then John just brought up the whole there's a lot of fist bumping going on. So do you present the open hand or do you present the fist? Somebody's got to start it off. And yes, I mean, it's antiquated, and I mean, we can all just kind of give a little wave and say hi too, can't we? I think that works.
I would love it. That's the world I want. And I was hoping that COVID would snap half of us out, and so we would rebuild society. I would be like, hey, no more handshaking.
Wait, did I understand that correctly? You were hoping that we were going to head towards some sort of dystopian future, and then you would be able to restart things? Is that what you were saying?
He was hoping half of the population would be dead, but then it would be a utopia.
Oh, I get it. That's different. Okay, go on.
Yeah.
No, I said my piece. I feel like every time I say I hate, and even my indifferences, I'm going to come off more and more so misanthropic. I've kind of like realized that while I was like writing my list down. I'm like, God damn it, this is not good.
I think we all have those thoughts, right? Maybe you more than others. Sorry, Vince, but yes, we all have those thoughts, especially when something like COVID hits and you just realized how alone we all are, really, and how nobody has control over anything. It's all just chaos. Chaos.
Who's got next?
I can jump in. Let me let me do the indifferent. Okay, I wanted to jump on this one before somebody else got to it. We're going down this path of movie franchises. We've talked MCU. We've talked Avatar. I want to jump in on Star Wars. I'm indifferent to Star Wars as well. Now, going back to high school, I saw the original trilogy. Liked them all. Empire Strikes Back was the better of the three, but I liked them all. And then whatever it was, 99 or 2000, when The Phantom Menace came out, I, much like a lot of people, hated The Phantom Menace. And I never returned to Star Wars again. I didn't enjoy it, and I didn't see any point. But I am a guy that loves sci-fi. I like sci-fi a lot. I would say it's probably my favorite genre. If you can nail sci-fi, I am there. But Star Wars, I've just never gotten into. And now there's what, like 10 more movies or something like this that I just really don't have much interest in. But the number one reason I want to bring it up is because there's a new show that just came out called Andor that a lot of people are talking about that's supposedly pretty great. And it sounds like it's a show you can just jump in without even being a Star Wars fan, potentially. So I'm kind of intrigued that I may want to jump into that. Is anybody watching that show, or what do you guys think of Star Wars?
So yeah, Star Wars, indifference. Okay, so I like that you like the original trilogy, and you realize what crap the prequels were. And the new ones are like, they actually really annoyed me, because what it was just this repeating that original trilogy, but with a few twists. And to me, I was like, what's the fucking point? Like, I don't know. So I kind of dipped out after that, but I've heard about Andor. I've heard about The Mandalorian, you know, stuff like that. And they say it's pretty good. Obi-Wan, all that stuff. But I don't know. I don't tune in.
Yeah, same. I think I've seen every Star Wars movie exactly once. Maybe I've seen A New Hope twice, and I maybe haven't seen whatever number 9 was at all. But I don't know. Like I never, yeah, similar. I just never was like a huge, like super into them. And I'm sure I would enjoy the shows and stuff, but just haven't bothered watching them, I guess. I don't know.
You guys are both into science fiction, though, right? It feels like there's.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's a huge, gigantic Star Wars culture out there, and I feel like it's kind of sacrilegious to say that you're not into Star Wars, but I'm big into sci-fi because to a lot of people, Star Wars is the ultimate sci-fi.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, like I loved like Battlestar Galactica and like The Expanse, and you know, as far as movies, just, you know, like I'll try and watch most sci-fi movies that come out, but yeah, just didn't get into that one specifically, Star Wars.
And also there's, I mean, Star Trek. I don't get why Star Wars and Star Trek people can't coexist. It's so annoying. And eventually we had the two merge together and basically be the same fucking thing. Like, I don't know if you've seen the new Star Trek movies with Abrams, the guy who would make the new Star Wars, but it's like the same sort of shit.
How are they the same? Like I saw one of them. Like, is there something you can put your finger on that they're the same?
You saw one of the Star Treks?
Yeah, one of the J.J. Abrams ones.
Well, Jesus. I mean, Abrams, you're on the list, motherfucker. He's a hate. I do not care for that dude. Really, I could go on and on. But I don't know. He's very derivative. He can create an energy. He can create a flow, a sense of momentum with his movies. Because everyone's running around saying like, "Oh my God, we got to do this now." But if you break it down, why are they doing this? You know, that's not scientifically possible or accurate, or, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things. Like I said, Abrams, I'm gonna wait for a later day.
I mean, Star Trek is on my indifferent list too. I was gonna get to this one eventually. It would be interesting to have a crossover between Star Wars and Star Trek. Now that would be an event, right?
Like I said,
Star Wars took place so long ago.
That's right. Oh, very good, John.
They could come up with some sort of logic. They got it all.
That's true, because Star Trek, they travel through time and space like a lot. It's
a lot.
Crazy. Yeah, it could totally happen.
I like it.
Yeah. Well,
who's next?
Who dis? Is it me?
I'll do my indifferent since it's movie related. So I talked about hating physical books. I'm going to say I don't know how to feel about physical movies, being that I typically only watch a movie once, but, you know, I would like to watch it in as best quality as possible. You know what I mean? And I also don't like how with streaming services, like let's say you buy a movie on like Amazon or something, like you don't actually own that forever. Like if licensing rights change or something, they can just be like, oh, well, sorry, this is no longer in your library. And then also if a TV show or something has licensed music that was in it when they aired on television and it's on the DVD, they might not have the license to that on the streaming service, so they'll have to put in some shittier song or something, and completely mess up the vibe of the scene or whatever. but that being said, like I personally own 0 Blu-rays and like a handful of DVDs that I just ended up with randomly. So I guess I ended up not wanting to own physical media, even though there's like definite advantages there. Do you, I know Vince, you used to collect DVDs a lot. Do you anymore?
No, and thanks for bringing that up. It's a very traumatic moment when all my DVDs were stolen from me. And I, in fact, used that moment to be like, I don't want to be crushed by this, so I'm going to just not be obsessed with movies anymore. I'm like, what do people talk about? Cars, sports, fuck that, you know, like, but yeah, that was a moment in time. But I will say though, the physical things that I did enjoy, because now everything's streaming, the behind the scenes stuff, audio commentary, I really like. You know, I like that sort of stuff. I mean, it's kind of evident with like how I like to talk about like behind the music sort of stuff. I like behind the movie, so yeah, that would be the only reason. But now people on YouTube are posting audio commentary and stuff, so it's pretty sweet.
Actually, that's true. Yeah. What about you, Matt? Are you a physical collector?
I am not ever. Well, this is gonna delve into areas that I maybe don't want to talk about, but I find ways to obtain movies.
Sure, sure.
I thought this was going to get into religion again.
You see, my father.
No, I would say I have 100 Blu-rays or so, which I collected over the years. I haven't bought a Blu-ray in a long time, and I haven't, I haven't listened to audio commentary in a long time. I wouldn't say I've really even seen any behind the scenes featurette things, any additional footage. Like there was a point in time where I was into that sort of stuff, but I would say I have not really gotten into that stuff in over a decade. But no, I still have some. I don't collect them. Everything's streaming. And
do you still
with
watch the ones you have, or would you just stream them now, or
I just
watch them by some other means just because it's more convenient?
Yeah, I just stream them. That whole quality thing. Like I can stand a foot away from my 65-inch 4K TV, and I don't know that I could tell the difference necessarily between a Blu-ray and a 1080p upscaled stream.
Okay, so you have bad eyes. Okay,
terrible eyes. So that doesn't really mean anything to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think I could step away from it. I would miss some of that stuff, but again, it's people are getting inventive on YouTube and uploading shit. Like even making ofs now, they're starting to get posted on YouTube. So yeah,
Vince, I know I totally forgot about you getting your DVD stolen thing. I know I've heard that story once. Do you have like a short version of that story that you can tell? Because I want a refresher on that.
Okay, so yeah, I was a huge movie nut. I was brought up on movies. Like that was my thing, I would actually prefer movies over reality. That's how deep I went. I would be like, why aren't you acting like a movie? Or when they did act like a movie, I'm like, why are you doing this? This is real life. This is inappropriate, But no, this one time I wanted to go on this huge binge, so I put all of my favorites in a giant tub. Or no, it was a case for a Christmas tree. There we go. We tied it.
Boom, yes. Nailed it.
So yeah, it was a fake Christmas tree box. I filled it to the brim of every single favorite movie of mine, and I dragged it downstairs because I just moved in with some dude. And I was like, okay, I'm going to indulge, but I got to go do some shit or whatever. But we got broken into and robbed. He, took that fucking whole case. So I was like ready to like crumble, but I'm like, no, it's been a long time coming. You have to have another interest in other shit. You can't just be a movie dude, So and actually ever since then, I really like making of movies behind the scenes, and I like reviews of movies, but I don't actually watch movies anymore. I actually feel like I'm a dad that got separated, and I like to, I talk to the wife. I'm like, or the ex-wife. I'm like, so how's Junior doing? Tell me about him. She's like, oh, he's doing this and that. Do you want to talk to him? I'm like, no, I gotta go.
That's a really good way to put it. I like that. So that couldn't have been your entire movie collection in that one bin, though, right?
Pretty damn close.
Okay.
Damn close. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you are really into the behind. So you don't really watch much for movies? Like, you're not up with what's coming out on any given year?
Not really. I mean, from what I can tell, I think the theatrical releases, the stupid epics, multi-billion-dollar movies, I do not get into. There's too many producing hands in it and shit like that, right? But then again, I haven't been watching any more independent movies, which I actually do prefer. I grew up in a time where the mid-budget movie was king. Like, I like that sort of film. But it doesn't seem like that's around. And even if it was, like I said, I have this weird thing where I'm like, I'll read a review about Red Rocket. I'll read a review about X. You know what I mean? But I won't actually see it. So stupid.
No. See, you're always shitting on yourself, though. So, like, you don't want to be the movie guy, but you find it really stupid. You're just reading reviews. I don't know about you, Vince. I don't know.
Just wait. Like I said, the list that I came up with, I'm like, my God. When I stood back and read everything, my loves, hates, I'm like, what the fuck is the matter with you, Vince?
As in, like, it's a lot of movies, or just like you just have like a lot of problems that you want to get off your chest? Or what?
It's all tied in there. You'll eventually see what I'm talking about.
Well, as I said on the very first episode, this is going to be like a therapy session where we really get things off of our chest. Love, hate, indifference. We're going to hit the whole spectrum.
It's true. Very true.
But
yeah.
Well, there's nothing wrong with being a movie guy, Vince. There's nothing wrong with being a movie review guy, Vince.
I don't know. It's been so long, guys. I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with being a making of guy.
I'm more comfortable with that. That's the little shot of methadone, where I'm like, okay, well, it's not quite meth. It's not quite heroin. They just give me this little cup of like, this will get you through the next couple hours.
I like that better than that whole calling up the wife thing you just did, but they're both pretty good. Use them.
They're used. Consider them used. That only existed for here. So who's next? Am I next?
Yes.
You have to ask. It's you.
Okay. All right. Here we go then. All right. So this was a little change up. I really, I'm looking forward to this here. So I texted you guys and I'm like, hey, remember when previously we were talking about a female perspective? And I was like, well, hey, ask your wives this. So this indifference comes as something I've observed over the years when I would talk about, movies. I noticed this certain trend in TV shows and books as well, where it seems like when there's two men pursuing a woman, it's a romance. It's a more romantic genre. But when there's two women pursuing a man, all of a sudden it's this comedy of like, oh my God, and I have 2 dates to the prom. What do I do? But with women, it's like, oh my God, I have 2 dates to the prom. Like, who do I kiss first or something like that? I don't know. It's fucking weird.
So I did not get to talk to Amy, but I did text her and she said, so I can actually quote here. That's quite a question. I think because women, okay, she's misspelling things.
Way to throw her under the bus.
No, this grammar is horrible.
If I'm going for an exact quote, I think because women thinks it's romantic when men are pursuing her in general. So to have, I just went black. So to have two is like super romantic. And women like when men are fighting over them. And women like when men are fighting over them because it's a compliment and we like compliments. So I think you're really getting into the whole like maybe trashy romance novel type of idea where there's men just throwing themselves at a particular woman and a woman just loves the attention. And I think that's kind of what Amy's saying here too. And I think a lot of this content is made for women. That's just the way it is. I've never read a trashy romance novel.
All the ones you read are highly sophisticated.
Yes. I can't really think of a TV show where the central premise is like a love triangle that I've seen. I've seen movies, I've seen romantic comedies and such. I mean, they're just geared towards women. So I think when there's two women pursuing a man, which I kind of have a hard time coming up with examples, but I think when that's going on, I think there is more hijinks because it is made for women. And I think that kind of turns into a goofy situation where the two women can slap each other around or kick each other in the taint or whatever women do. And I don't know. I just
please, it's cunt. Women hate the word taint.
You said it,
John. I mean, Rochelle.
Yeah, so we don't say her name on the podcast. I talked to my wife, and we both were like, "Oh, is that a thing?" So the typical like, "Oh, Vince has this thing that he's observed. Hey, haven't you all noticed this thing?" And we're like, "What? I don't know, maybe."
yeah.
But so my thoughts were kind of what Amy was saying, like if it's made for women, that the idea of, being fought over or whatever might be romantic or appealing. Rochelle was saying, like, from the comedy standpoint, like, I don't know, that things tend to get written where like women fight with each other or they're pitted up against each other. And like men in the situation, they would just bro it out basically and like become friends. But one thing she pointed out that I thought was interesting was perceptions of like reality shows, like The Bachelor. When the dude goes on 2 dates in one night, they're like, "Oh, they went out here and blah, blah, blah. It was so romantic." And then like when on The Bachelorette, when the woman is like kissing 2 dudes, they're like, "Oh, that's gross. Like she's such a slut," and like all that kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's a really good point, actually.
That's the perspective that we needed, is the Bachelorette perspective. Yes. Perfect.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought maybe it's just men, right? Like treating women like, I got my pick of the litter, motherfucker. Like he's kind of like talking to his bros, and when it's written like that, that's how it is, But then I'm like, well, but it's almost always there's never a comedy where two guys are, Matt, here you go, where two guys are fighting for a woman's attention. It's typically this romance. But you pointed out Dumb and Dumber, and what else?
There's Something About Mary.
Yes.
But I came up with some quickly off the top of my head. So I thought I was going to come up with a bunch more, but I really couldn't think up any more than that. So, and Dumb and Dumber is even kind of questionable because they are literally dumb and dumber. So I don't really think they know what's going on. But There's Something About Mary is a perfect example of just a screwball comedy. And there's more than 2 guys, actually. Maybe that's the whole idea is we're subverting expectations. But and then for the opposite side, The Graduate, although lines get blurred when you're talking comedy and romance, but Graduate's sort of a comedy, but it's 2 women pursuing a guy.
That's a little. Go on.
No.
That, though.
Go ahead.
That's a little different, just because from what I remember in The Graduate, I thought the mom and the daughter didn't know of each other's pursuing of Dustin Hoffman, right? So that might be where it's a little different.
Yeah, you might be right. It's probably been 20 years since I've seen it, so I might not remember it correctly. But I do seem to remember some sort of confrontation between the mom and the daughter at some point leading up to the third act, where I think things kind of get hashed out. But maybe I'm wrong. But yeah,
No, I
that's
mean,
kind of the only example I could come up with.
yeah, exactly. I mean, well, eventually you have to have these two realize, and it will be in the third act. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. I always thought
I
that
haven't
was
seen
very...
it, but my wife mentioned Little Women. Oh, sorry. I was saying my wife mentioned Little Women as something where two women were going after the same guy, and that's not a comedy as far as I know.
Okay.
I was thinking of Little Women as well, but I don't recall. I think there's a lot of just everybody kind of wanting to screw everyone in that kind of that sort of teenage romance type thing. So I kind of dismissed it, but yeah, that's probably a good example.
But also, though, isn't Little Women kind of like in that same era or genre or whatever as like Pride and Prejudice, where like women just sat there all dutifully and they're like, oh, there's one man. There's always just one guy. So we're all going to have to, in our own little stilted sort of way, pursue this man. That's what it seems like. I don't know. I've never really gotten into those goddamn. I get claustrophobic when I watch those sort of movies where I'm like, God damn it, everyone's just sitting so quietly and there's no music or I can't stand those movies.
Yeah, I call that's my least favorite genre, I would say, of all time, is the stuffy period piece, as some would call it. That's
what about Barry Lyndon?
I did not like Barry Lyndon. I'm going to add that to my list.
Whoa.
Kubrick. I've seen it 1.5 times. I did not need to see it 2.
I've never seen it. So, John, do you recommend it?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
That's the epitome of stuffy period drama.
Really?
It's got cool classical music. It's got crazy space age camera shots and technology.
I mean, it's a pretty movie, but I just boring.
I can see that.
You mean hilarious?
Hilarious. Where's the hilarity
Yeah.
of Barry Lyndon?
Throughout the entire thing. we'll talk about it later.
All right, we'll talk about it later. But yeah, that's like the
that ending
epitome.
title card. We'll talk about it later.
Okay, we'll talk later.
Well, that's the end. Who's next?
I can go. Yeah, I think it's my turn. I do want to actually have real heated debates at some point about something, by the way. I don't know. We could have kept going about Barry Lyndon, except I don't remember much about it. Anyway, I'm going to go with my love, which is Spinach. Maybe this will cause a heat.
Oh, fuck you. Your Spinach. Fuck the Navy. Fucking Popeye.
So I started loving Spinach, I would say about 12 years ago. And it's kind of that internal monologue where I think a lot of Americans have this, where you're just admitting to yourself that you're not eating enough vegetables. And I was definitely in that place where I'm not eating enough vegetables. Now, I forget the exact incident, but I happened to have spinach on a sandwich or something like that. And I realized spinach isn't that bad. It doesn't taste like much. So you add more spinach onto the sandwich and it doesn't affect the flavor at all. So it ended up being a cheat. It's a vegetable cheat, I think, is spinach, where I can put it on just about anything and it really does not affect the flavor. I've put it on pizza, soups. I haven't gone as far as ice cream or anything like that, but yeah, I can put it on anything. I go through a giant tub about once a week of spinach, and I don't know, is it making me healthier? I don't know, probably, maybe. I hope so. Am I feeling better about myself? Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
Heck yeah. It's got iron, calcium, other stuff.
Everything a body craves. So yeah, I love spinach. I think spinach is a vegetable cheat. And if you haven't tried spinach, forget about Popeye, forget about the canned spinach that's all watery and crap. I've never tried that. I've no desire to try that. I'm sure it's awful. But if you've never tried real spinach, the leafy green spinach, try it. Put it on a sandwich, and you might surprise yourself.
Oh. I've mostly been exposed to the watery, canned stuff. I actually don't mind it. I really don't. But I've also in recent years tried the leafy stuff, and it's just fine. I should probably eat more of that. I like that you present it to me as a cheat. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm not going to take a handful of spinach and shove it in my mouth and enjoy it, but it doesn't really affect the flavor. And actually, I've gotten to a point where I've put so much spinach like on a sandwich or something that it kind of does start to affect the flavor. And you just take a little bit off, and you're back to a great equilibrium. Everything's back to normal. So,
yeah, I mean, Indian food like palak. I don't know. I don't eat paneer, but palak, aloo, potatoes or whatever. It's great.
what the hell are you talking about? I have a saying that if it's half spinach, it counts as a salad as well. So I've literally had a bowl of chili that's half spinach, and I kind of consider that a salad, right?
That's awesome. No, I'm really gonna try that. Like because I have a tub. It's rotten now, but I tried to do the whole juicing thing, the juicing cleanse. And yeah, I would throw in spinach, and because I prefer that over like what's the other greens? Lettuce,
Kale.
Kale. I don't really get into kale too. I haven't really tried it.
To me,
Green peppers, I don't
kale is too bitter. I don't like kale. Maybe I haven't had the right part of kale or whatever. I feel like I've heard somebody say that before, but
yeah, kale is definitely more bitter than spinach. But it's good cooked, I'd say.
never tried it cooked. And I don't cook spinach either. Well, I'll throw it into a stir fry or something like that, but typically I just eat it raw.
Terrific.
Terrific.
Yes,
Is it terrific? Try it, Vince. Try it. Gonna change your life.
I'm going to. No, you've convinced me, man. I'm being genuine. So am I up next?
If you want to be.
Sure.
Or is it no? I'll just go.
Do it.
Okay, so my love is really weird, but just hear me out, all right? The Tsavo man-eating lions. Now, some people, they get into like fucking true crime shit, like that show Dahmer, I don't like it. I'm not interested. I don't give a fuck if Ed Gein is from Wisconsin or like this guy's from Wisconsin. I don't fuck.
Well, they're all from Wisconsin. That's the problem. I don't care if Making a Murderer is from Wisconsin.
That's right. He was from Wisconsin too.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. So anyways, it's like man on man. I'm not into it. But I will get down with a little Animal Kingdom finally saying, you know what, mankind, fuck you. You think you're like the best, just because you got like thumbs and shit, So when these lions, the Tsavo man-eating lions in Kenya, started eating people up, and people were like, what the fuck is going on? How is this possible? Because it's two male lions, which really makes it different and a mystery. I actually, there's a movie called The Ghost in the Darkness with Val Kilmer, Michael Douglas. It was about those lions. And I was at the Field of Natural History, Chicago, that museum.
The Field Museum, yeah.
The Field Museum. Yeah, and I went there and I was checking out shit, and they were like, oh, come and see the Ghost in the Darkness lions. So I was like, oh shit, that's awesome. I went in there and I instantly got creeped out. Because what they don't show in the movie is that the two male lions, they're maneless. They don't have the fucking big head of hair, So instantly it's like, oh God, were they sick? And they were in many ways. A lot of factors went into why they went on this killing spree and stuff like that. But when you read into it, Tsavo lions tend to be maneless, and like Serengeti tend to have manes or whatever just because of the heat. But just outside of that, you have to wonder, like, why did they kill so many people? Why did they collaborate? These are two male lions. You don't get that. You know, it's usually one male lion and 10 bitches, you know what I mean? Called a pride, you know, 10 lionesses. But for some reason, these two dudes were like, we're going to fuck people up. We're going to terrorize this railroad construction for like 8 to 10 months, something like that. And we're going to almost mock them. They would show up and you know, kind of like kill someone, but then like really make an appearance against the guy who's trying to hunt him, almost mock him in a way. I don't know. It was very interesting. I like it a lot. Tsavo, man-eating lions.
So where do all the non-alpha male lions go? You know, like the Sigma lions, if you will.
Oh, are you suggesting it's two dudes who are like, they're like, listen, we can't get any girls. Never mind 10.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm
Okay.
wondering. Because like that's the thing with dolphins, I've heard that like there's all these like groups of males that go around and do horrible things.
Really? Dolphins?
Mm-hmm.
But they're our friends.
Yeah, look up dolphin bachelor pods, and it'll make you think twice about how friendly they are.
Well, I mean, that's a whole nother thing where it's like they're like really rapey, aren't they? Like very fondly and stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Even the good ones are like that. You're like, oh god, we gotta ignore this. This is not good publicity, Flipper. We're gonna sweep this under the rug. Yeah, but I don't know. One of the explanations was like, at least one of the lions. It might have been the ghost, might have been the darkness, but they had like this severe tooth decay or something, so that they couldn't prey.
Gingivitis.
Yes. So yeah, I don't know. But then they did not explain why two males work together, but that's a very good point, John. Where do all the other males go? That's Scar, basically. Remember? Lion King?
Yeah. That's true.
Oh, shit. Matt, what do you got about this? Have you?
Well, just coincidentally, I saw a movie with Idris Elba that just came out this year, just a few weeks ago, called Beast, which is not about that incident, but it's about a man-eating lion that they can't figure out, and it's in Africa, and there's some good CGI as far as, you know, lion effects and stuff like that. It was pretty striking. I didn't really care for it overall, but just coincidence. But you know, so you're just kind of into the man versus nature type of thing, and I get that. But I mean, if you are into man versus nature, I mean, I've got plenty of stuff I can tell you to look up. I mean, did you know that there was this ship back in 1912 that tried to sail across the Atlantic Ocean and hit this iceberg? It's called the Titanic. You might want to look that one up.
I'm talking about wildlife, man. If the dolphins were like over here to this iceberg, you know, like that.
Can't prove they weren't.
So you're just interested in the mystery of it, the psychology of the lions, and okay.
Yeah, and well, okay, so it's not all cool because people did die. The record is a little hazy. The guy who wrote the book, the guy who hunted him, he was like, it was 135, but then some research over the years are like more like 35. But a lot of people went missing, and you could say it was from the lions. But the thing that really does suck is that the lions ate mostly the Indian and African workers, none of the actual British Empire, which if I was a lion, that's who I would go after the most, because fuck the British Empire.
Yeah, and if I know my my wars correctly, I always know the British like to wear red, so you think the lions would be after the red more so than anything.
That's
yeah,
bulls.
Oh, crap. I feel so embarrassed now. But you're right. That's what I don't get is these are innocent people, basically slaves that that these lions are killing. That's what you're into? That's what you're into?
I said this is the one thing where I'm like, oh, that sucks that they killed like the innocent guys. You know what I mean? But they're lions. They're like, we know that we gotta fuck mankind, but we're also trying this for the very first time. We've never seen lions collaborate like this before, at least in other stories. That's a thing, you know? Like, I don't know. I find it really interesting that it's basically Scream, where you had two killers. It wasn't heard of until then. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't agree with this one. I don't find it. I mean, there's a mystery to it. I understand, but I don't find it that interesting. I wouldn't want to watch a movie about it. No, I'm indifferent. I'm indifferent.
You're indifferent. Okay. I was going to say,
Yeah.
if you dislike my love, just you wait. You should see the list, man. It's like right here. I'm looking at it.
Can't wait.
Who's up next? I think we have a finale.
Just me, huh? So basically just I hate it when people won't admit that they don't know something if you ask them a question and they don't know the answer. And like, I certainly understand the instinct to make shit up, because I have that same instinct and I have to fight against it. But that all the more makes me like, okay, well, you know, I've learned to basically put aside my ego and say, I don't know this one, let's figure it out, and save a lot of time in the long run, rather than like making somebody have to learn that what I made up may or may not be correct, and then actually get to the answer. And like, I used to think that people were fairly good at just making stuff up and running with it. And I guess a lot of times the actual truth doesn't matter in the end for whatever they're looking for. But, you know, in my job, I do a lot of research for my work, and I'll go into a project having like a good idea of how something works and think I'm just going to go confirm that. And then like after I actually do the work, I'm like, oh, wow, this thing works completely differently than I expected it to. Like, I never even considered that someone might do something the way that they're actually doing it. And you just learn so much more by admitting you don't know and trying to figure out, rather than just assuming you know and giving what you think is correct.
I agree. I'm not going to argue that. Like, yeah, I've dealt with the same sort of shit. I think you're specifically saying in regards to your job, like, okay, so were you on some porn sites on this laptop? They're like, no. Right?
It's not like lying about stuff they know. It's more like where it's like, oh, how does this work? And like the true answer is they don't know how it works. But what they say is like, oh, it's easy. It does this and then this and then this other thing, and that's how it works. And then you like look it up, like, oh, it doesn't do any of that.
I'm just gonna jump in.
I got nothing. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's hear Matt talk about how he loves it when people lie to him.
So you've put this in the context of work, and I don't know that it's necessarily people lying or what. I think it's more like a false sense of confidence that maybe they know what something's going on. Like, so somebody that's talking to you about a certain project or certain data or whatever the heck you have to do, are they relying on you to then do the research as to how things are going to go, or is it more they just have an idea of how it works and then they're going to do their own work, or is it just laziness, or what the heck is the context exactly?
It'd be like, all right, so my job is competitive intelligence. So I'm looking, like, I do research on my company's competitors. So, you know, sometimes someone will join the company who knows something about a competitor for whatever reason. And like, I'll ask them like, oh, hey, you know, like, how do they do this thing? And then they'll answer, but part of the answer will be like factually wrong. And then it just throws like everything else into question, kind of. So that's where I would be asking someone else for something. And then, but on the other hand, it's like mostly I'm the one giving the answers. So I had to like train myself not to like be overconfident and just jump in with whatever I think is actually the answer, because they might be going out and talking to a customer, and I don't want that person to be BSing with wrong information just because I didn't want to actually do the work.
I get that. So when people give you wrong information, do you notice them sweating bullets and stuff like that, or are they? Is it always very confident? Do people seem? Very
it's typically pretty confident. Like, it's not like, oh, yeah, it's hear me out, see, but it's more like, oh yeah, they do this because they believe it. Like, it's not, I guess to your point, it's not lying. It's just they've never bothered to critically think about it, and they just say whatever they think the answer is.
Right. Yeah, it's like, I thought maybe you were going to go in a direction. I mean, you're putting it in the context of work. I thought maybe you're going to talk about, you're having a conversation with somebody and you're talking about things, and people are politely nodding and trying to pretend like they understand without asking you, or people just don't admit, I don't know what you're talking about. Can you explain this about it? I kind of thought that's where you were going with this. Do you experience that?
Yeah, that's definitely a thing that happens. And, in non-work situations that can happen, and it doesn't really affect anything other than just like, oh, I thought I was communicating with this person, but it turns out I wasn't. But yeah, like in work context that happens, and it definitely then is a problem, because like I think I just explained something perfectly, but in reality, maybe I started 2 steps ahead of what I should have started, and I needed to like, be starting even at a more basic level, and I should have done a much better job explaining, but they never admit that they weren't really on the same wavelength, so we never get that sorted out.
In in just everyday life, I mean, running into that is annoying, because I don't know, I eventually came to a conclusion where I'm like, you know what, I know as much as I know what I know. I'd rather learn something new. And so I try not to put up a front about stuff, and I'm like, no, I'm interested, because like, John, what is this, man? What is this? I truly want to know. But as soon as I realize that I want to do that, running into people who just refuse to admit that they don't know, who just these know-it-alls who just make these bold declarations about things that they just heard about just now, you know what I mean? It's fucking crazy. It drives me up the fucking wall. And so this hate of yours, I am a brother in arms with you there, John. I can't stand it.
Yeah. And actually that goes right alongside with, maybe it's just another way of wording the same thing, or just a tangent thing that I was thinking about doing, was like, when people think that anything is simple, so like, like, oh, this political problem, it's simple, you just need to do this. And like, okay, if you take 5 seconds to actually think about what your solution is, like, here's 10 reasons it wouldn't work, but they just never go beyond that.
Yeah, it's those knee-jerk answers or whatever. Like, it's those people that seem to have something in the chamber that they just made up. They're just reacting to, say, like, I'm very passionately saying this is dumb. They're like, actually, it's actually really good. And they're just coming up with it as they're saying those words. And they're like, and this is why, you know what I mean? Like, it's fucking crazy. Oh my gosh. I am so thankful for that hate.
Yeah, I think we've kind of expanded it maybe beyond what John was even thinking at this point. But yeah, I think it's a really good topic for the times that we're living in. Just the lack of critical thinking and saying something before you speak. And yeah, this could go on a bunch of different tangents, but it's all related.
Especially here at Christmas time.
Ooh, I like it.
Not really. I just wanted to tie it in.
It's tied.
Tied like a bow on a present. And you know what? Speaking of present, it's time to look towards the future, to the next episode. So let's say goodbye to this episode. And
Oh wait, so you're talking about the future?
oh my God. Yes, exactly. A future Goldilock Bears podcast. So yeah, that was the episode.
We were trying to come up with like segments we could do, and maybe there's some sort of a future teaser or something we could do at the end here, but nah, that's
no, go ahead. No. Okay, I'll throw this out. Future segment. Although now indifference is always a mystery to us, so never mind. I was going to throw something out there, but it's an indifferent. Does anyone have a love or hate we could look forward to?
Well, if we thought about it, we could do like a clue to the indifference, but not actually say what it is. But then I would have actually have to have picked one.
Okay, well then I'll give you a clue on this indifferent. Lard, sugar, flour.
Oh,
okay.
Pumpkin, pumpkin spice,
spinach.
Yeah. All right. So, anyways, that was a few Goldilock Bears podcasts. Like, subscribe, comment. This was
Nutmeg.
Vincent Cloud.
I'm Matt Hagen.
cinnamon. I'm John Emmons.